Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Tegar Bayu Aditya.
My name is Muhlys Mahmud.
My name is Arpa Dila, and we are from Group 3 of English Literature, Class C 2020, and we will do our English prose final test, and we choose modern prose entitled Hansel and Gretel. To find out the synopsis and analysis that we have found, let's get started.
A poor woodcutter and his wife had two children named Hansel and Gretel. Their mother died when they were young. Hansel and Gretel were very sad. Soon their father remarried, but their stepmother was very cruel. One day she took the children deep into the forest and left them there. Clever Hansel had some breadcrumbs in his pocket and had dropped them on the way so that they could find their way back home. Alas, the bird ate all the crumbs and they couldn't find the path that led back home. Hansel and Gretel went deeper and deeper into the forest. They were hungry and tired. Finally, after walking for a long time, they saw a cottage made of chocolate, candies, and cake. Look, Hansel, a chocolate brick, shouted Gretel in delight, and both ate it hungrily. Now a wicked witch lived there. When she saw Hansel and Gretel, she wanted to eat them. She grabbed the children and looked at them in cake. The witch decided to make a soup out of Hansel and eat him first. She began boiling a whole pot of water for the soup. Just then Gretel crept out of her cage. She gave the wicked witch a mighty push from behind, and the witch fell into the boiling water. She howled in pain and died instantly. Hansel and Gretel found treasure lying around the cottage. They carried it home with them. Their stepmother had died, and their father welcomed them back with tears of joy. They never went hungry again.
Genre is fiction. Theme is family. Character and characteristic. First, a poor woodcutter is weak. Second, the wife of woodcutter have no characteristic. Third, Hansel is clever. Fourth, Gretel is brave. Fifth, the stepmother very cruel. Sixth, the witch wicked. Seven, bird have no characteristic. Setting, time, once upon a time. Place, the deep of forest and woodcutter's house. Atmosphere, hunger, exhaustion, frightening, and joyful. Mood, start with sadness because of their mother passed away. Suffer because of their stepmother. Afraid and fear because they can't found their way home in the deep of forest. Hunger because they couldn't find any food in the forest. Happy because they found a cottage made of chocolate, cake, and candy. Frightening because they caught by the wicked witch. Happy because they escaped from the witch and found a treasure, then live happily with their father, and also they never hunger again.
Okay, I'll explain about the plot. The plot is forward, and for the exposition is a woodcutter has two children. They are Gretel and Hansel. Because the woodcutters passed away, he remarried. The stepmother was cruel. And for the rising action, the stepmother took Hansel and Gretel into the deep of forest, and then she left them there. And they found a house made of chocolate cake and candy. And the climax is Hansel and Gretel caught by the wicked witch. She wants to make a soup of both Hansel and Gretel. Following action, Gretel crept out from the cage and pushed the wicked witch into boiling water. And for the resolution, Hansel and Gretel saved from the wicked witch because the wicked witch was dead then. They found the treasure and returned to their home. And the last is ending. They lived happily with their father and never hunger again. And the next, I'll tell you about the conflict. The conflict is man versus man, Gretel and Hansel versus the stepmother, Gretel and Hansel versus the wicked witch. And the next is I'll explain about point of view. The point of view that the story use is third person point of view, because the name of characters using pronouns such as she, he, and the others. And the last, I will explain about moral value. We found 3 moral value in this story. The first is the cleverness and the bravery are needed in the critical situation. And the second is don't seduce with the enjoyment of world easily. And the third or the last is family is the most precious wealth in the world. Okay, next will tell you why we choose Hansel and Gretel for our English prose final test. For me, because Hansel and Gretel is a perfect adventure where fear plays a necessary role. The story is immediately engaging because of all that makes it terrifying, gruesome, and grisly. Without the strong elements of fear and violence, it would lose its lure, its power, and its charm. It leaves a deep impression because it deals with strong themes and causes the reader to feel deeply, whether it is fear, sympathy, sorrow, or relief.
The reason I chose this story because there is a lot of text and pages in this story. It's not very suitable for those who are just learning to read, but for those who are already advanced readers, it shouldn't be a problem. It's also the perfect story to read together and a beautiful bedtime story.
The reason I chose this short story because the share and interest to read it. In this like story, it can add insight contained in the event in the story. The story is entertaining that leads us to unique, imaginative, and fun storyline.
Okay, I think that's all from our group. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you so much for listening our analysis about Hansel and Gretel. Thank you so much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.